in the great Auntie Wars of 2019, where Gail and Oprah and Ava threw down the gauntlet and was like, "Do not call me Auntie." I would say, I don't mind you calling me Auntie, but you cannot be an old broad calling me Auntie. So I really do an Auntie cut off around 35. Honestly, this has been amazing. I've had so many amazing points in my careers with a plural S. This just feels really good because it's a whole book of what I wrote. No one else wrote anything in this book except for me. I had an editor, of course, but it's all me. So that feels really good to have that kind of accomplishment. But if I can impart to anything to anyone who's listening to this, it's that you cannot get so caught up in any one specific win. You know, a good life is a culmination of a lot of different kinds of wins. And they all have to have equal value. You know what I mean? They all have to be like, you know, I wrote a book. Oh my God, I wrote a book. But also, I wrote an article once. That was my first time ever doing that. And that was huge.
Right.
So, you know,
Right.
and that's the way you stay grounded and you keep yourself at the even keel and you keep balance in your life. Because if you
Right.
only can celebrate all the big extravaganzas, oh my God, I was on Good Morning America, oh my God, I was on The View, then you're going to be hollow inside because every win that you have or every good experience you have may not be as spectacular to the outside world, but it has to mean something to you.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I do want to get into that too, Bevy, because we have a lot of what you are representing and have represented is fabulosity. And you are very transparent about the journey of it being hollow and you having that moment where you're in this fabulous place and at this fabulous hotel and you throw yourself onto this bed and it's just emptiness inside. And I know so many people have probably felt that way, are currently going through that, or will go through that. So how do we start with this? Because at some point that fabulosity felt good and felt like for you. So was that something that you were after when you set your sights on the careers?
I used to think I was lazy, Danielle, believe it or not. And
While you were working?
yeah, because I've been very blessed and highly favored that I
I
don't,
feel
I've,
you.
I've never, the grind is not something that's not my story. The grind. My story is one of opportunities. I accept them and then I do the good work. And I work hard. But the grind, you know. So
Yeah.
when I'm going through this malaise of oh my gosh, this is not what I thought it was supposed I thought it would look like or feel like. More importantly, what I thought, because it looked exactly like I thought it would look.
Right.
It
Like it
looked
looked good.
fabulous. It looked amazing, but it didn't feel good, and it didn't
Right.
feel satisfying. It had a lot to do with the business of fashion. The business of fashion is so hollow, and you know I'm from 150th Street and 8th Avenue, and so a lot of silly things that would go on in fashion, I would be like, well, this is ridiculous, and um, someone in my community could live off of the cost of that handbag for like 2 years. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so it was, it was always these little tiny little things that would like work my last good nerve. I also hated that at certain points in my career, people looked at me as like um a magical Negro. They would like come to me and want to rely on me for advice and all these different things, and I would be like, yeah, I'm not really here for this,
Right.
and so it was just like a lot of hollow, superficial conversations, and situations. And I was like, I want my life to have more meaning and more depth. And I also want to be more in control of whatever that life looks like.
Yeah.
And so that's when I decided to make the change.
You mentioned also people creating this magical Negro around you.
Yeah.
But then when we see that you are so willing to be the advice giver, be the beacon, be the mother, the auntie, the bestie, how do you toe the line? How do you limit?
Well, that's my option in which I get to display that mother, auntie, bestie. I don't want you putting that on me and being like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and when I say that I was a magical Negro, that was really in context to my corporate life, where I
gotcha.
would have these people that I didn't have a personal relationship with necessarily, and I had a working relationship with, but they would still feel very comfortable with coming to me with their issues and their problems. And I'd be like, well, I'm trying to get to the tunnel, honey. I don't have time to be listening to all of this. You know what I mean? But
Right.
no, but I do, and the reason why the book is called Bevelations, Lessons from My Mother, Auntie, Bestie, is because I'm very clear that that's the space I inhabit in pop culture, and the mother is for, so many of the young gay people that think of me as a mother, like as a mother of the house. The auntie is for all my young women, and what I will tell you, as I say in the book, in the great auntie wars of 2019, where Gail and Oprah and Ava threw down the gauntlet and was like, do not call me auntie. I would say, I don't mind you calling me auntie, but you cannot be an old broad calling me auntie. So I really do an auntie cut off around 35. And then
just let him.
right. Then you get to work into being a little sister, or I can be a bestie to you. Because a bestie is really my grown women, 40 and over, where they see me on TV and they just know they want to take a trip with me. They want to go and have a cocktail with me. They want to go and have a fabulous dinner because we're going to trade stories.
Yeah.
We have shared experiences, even if we don't know each other, even if we're from different parts of the country. We have these amazing shared experiences, which is why some of the best things I've been doing on this book tour have been like the AKA events, or I'm doing the Delta event, I'm doing the Spelman event, and those are the fun ones for me because that's the bestie part of it.
Yeah.
Sit up and be grown and talk shit
Yeah.
and really have these moments. I love being the bestie part. I love the bestie portion of the book as well.
I
But
love
I
that.
appreciate the mother and the auntie as well.
Yeah, you cover a myriad of just a Black womanhood. Like you really represent so many different portions
Yes.
of what it is to be a Black woman, especially in this entertainment space,
Mhm.
which like we understood from the book is you've had such a fabulous experience, and that has not always been a Black woman's experience within this space. How did you become a unicorn in this industry like that?
Well, I wasn't interested in this industry. You understand? I was interested in having a good time. So the entire 90s were, so interesting because I always say this, um, it's very ironic to me that so many women that I would see along the way in the industry, in the music industry, in the entertainment industry, and they would be working and they would be working so hard and they would be trying to be accepted by the guys. It's like people that were just professionals and they wanted to come and do their jobs, and they were dressing like boys. They were wearing the big baggy clothes because they didn't want the guys to try and hit on them. Meanwhile, I was coming up in the studio in a motherfucking spandex dress with the only yada 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 yada.
Yes.
And I was coming there for the shits and the giggles. And oftentimes those women resented me because they would look and they'd be like, this is why they don't take us seriously. But that wasn't my struggle because I wasn't trying to be a part of the music industry or in the entertainment industry. I worked in fashion and advertising. So
Right.
my life was totally separate from that. I was looking at those moments as good times. I wasn't here for a long time. I was here for a good time.
Right.
And I lived that, right? And then, so it became very ironic when I went to Vibe magazine and the worlds clashed. Because then all of a sudden, Big Bev from Uptown meets Beverly Smith, fashion advertising executive.
Right.
And then that's when the worlds converged, and that's when it really got good. And then I became friends with many of those women that used to give me a stink eye, because then all of a sudden we all working in the same industry, and I'm
Right.
very good at my job, and then they
Yeah.
have to respect me.
Yeah. That's what listen. I remember my first Bevy Smith experience. You came to Interactive One. This was like, I want to say 07, 08-ish, somewhere around there. And you talked about, they also had Claire from Fashion Bomb come and talk about her company and building her brand. And you guys were just talking about what it to exit the experience that is oh so fabulous, oh so photo ready for your own situation. And I was so enamored. I was like, who is this lady? She left this career. She is crazy. What is she up to? And to even see like what you did from that moment, like watching you just change the game constantly on your own terms, that to me has been the most awe-inspiring, just like easy to root for moments, like every time I see you level up. So when you talk about the wins and the celebrations of it all, I'm like, Bevy's so good at feet on the ground, right? And all of it, and all of the celebrations, and all of the doing it yourself. What keeps you in that space? Because
Harlem.
that's what I was gonna say. Like, you're so connected to home.
I'm so connected to home.
Yeah.
I can never do too much or get too extra, because being from Harlem and living here still, um, it's an interesting thing. Harlem will humble you.
Yeah.
I,
I've lived there 6 years. It will humble.
Harlem will humble you, and like even I think in the height of my fashion career, I definitely may have surpassed the flyest person in Harlem.
Mm,
Maybe, and maybe by this much. Okay,
right.
and maybe the only reason why I surpassed them is because I had more access, and so I had limited edition, and I had
Yeah.
things that you can't buy. They have to send it to you.
Mm,
But now that I'm a civilian and I don't care that much about the stuff, when I go to a restaurant or a bar, and especially if I go to a particular type of, you know, venue, oh, I'm going to look like a pauper next to the people. Okay? I'm not going to be the flyest girl in the bunch, and that's okay. That's okay, because that gives me a sense of pride. I remember I used to when I would be in Milan and everything, and they would be like, "Oh my God, you are so fabulous! Oh my God, the Principessa, the gorgeous! Oh my God, when you go home, they must be so enamored by you. They must be like falling at your feet." And I'd be like, "Child, where I'm from, this whole look is just a Saturday night on the Ave." So all of a sudden, if you're in Harlem, they're not easily impressed.
mm-mm.
And so that keeps you very much like, they really care.
Yeah.
And it's not a negative thing. It's not even a hater thing. It's just that it's fly people, it's people doing the damn thing all over the place.
All over. Yeah.
So it is what it is. I grew up with ASAP Berg's father. His
Right.
father was a great graphic designer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His father was a part of this crew called The Same Game. They were fly. You know, there's so many examples of like Tiana Taylor's mother, Nikki, fly.
Yeah.
Chrissy, Jim Jones' wife. We grew up together. Fly.
So
No one
it's
really cares.
yeah.
It's nice of you, sweetie. Like everyone's happy for me. Like I've gotten all the messages since the book happened, and they're like, "I'm buying the book. I'm coming through. I want you to sign it." So they're proud. But okay, girl, that's nice. But
But you
then,
still, it's the same thing of like, you remind me of the way Denzel feels. Like Denzel is like, I mean, I'm working, I'm doing my thing. I love that y'all love me, but like, it's cool.
yeah, That's the way the people treat you. So you gotta kind of be like, and you know what's a healthy way to be?
It
It's a
is.
healthier way to be. You don't want to do too much, and you don't ever want to feel like you sit on high and look down low.
Yeah.
That's not the winning formula.
It's not, but it is. I mean, Bevy, you are very much the queen of Harlem. Like, it's like one of those things. It's like, well, yes, but that's Bevy. We know
Yeah,
that. We know who she is.
yeah, but even being influential in Harlem, there's so many people that are influential in Harlem. You know what I mean? And
True. You're just
like
like,
now,
it's not.
I sit in that pantheon of influential Harlemites, which is great. Like that's
Yeah,
why I love it when I'm around Dap. You know
because
what I
it's just
mean?
such a culture center. The
Yes.
culture has been very much created and incubated in New York City as a whole, but like uptown is the nucleus.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because people often will say, "Well, Brooklyn is this," and I'm like, Brooklyn is an entire borough. Harlem is just a neighborhood.
Yeah,
So if you can compare us to anything, you have to compare us to either the like Fort Greene or Bed-Stuy, but you can't compare us to Brooklyn. You know what I
all
mean?
of that's actually true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brooklyn is a
it's
huge ass
different.
borough. It's like would be like the fourth largest city in America, something great. It's huge. So that's why I always say when people want to debate Harlem versus Brooklyn, I was like, first of all, you're giving us so much credit because we're just the neighborhood. So I
That is so
love
true.
that you're putting us on the scope of a whole entire
Of an
borough.
actual borough, right? Well, I want to know because you mentioned us. We talked a little bit about your pivoting within your career, and in the book, you do mention this rock bottom situation where you felt like, okay, I got to make a change. What was the change for you that created the meaning for you?
Well, the change was I knew I wanted creativity and I wanted freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And for the longest time, Danielle, I had tried to pursue the, I had tried to align myself with people who had that creativity and freedom because I thought maybe if I could like hang around them,
Mm-hmm.
sleep with them, I would get it through osmosis and it would be enough.
Mm.
And then one day it just wasn't enough. And then I started to think, well, maybe I should try to actually pursue some of the things that are on my heart, that the things I'm interested in, the passions that I've had since I was a little kid. Maybe
Yeah.
I should try and do that. And I didn't do that right away. I was still very much hedging my bets. In the book, I talk about being at Vibe magazine and going not to resign to my boss when I knew I was unhappy, but instead trying to get him to give me another type of job at Vibe because I was so happy at Vibe magazine.
Right.
And I was like, well, maybe I can do this instead. Maybe I can do that instead. And thank God he always turned me down. But the
Mm.
one thing he did give me was he gave me the opportunity to actually host the Vibe Awards with
Right.
Farnsworth Bentley. And I did that, and I did it so well that it was an absolute game changer because I had never done TV before.
Yeah.
And I got this opportunity to do it. And it was actually network television. It was on UPN.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there I am, like with Farnsworth Bentley. There, a camera comes on, and we just jump to it. And no one gives me any training or gives me any advice. Nothing. All I know is that Farnsworth Bentley has done this.
Right.
I know that he is shiny as all get out. I know that all the celebs love him, and I know I better fucking keep up.
Right. And you
That's all
did
I
it.
know.
And you
And
did.
I do those things, and then I realize, wow, that might be it.
Mhm.
That might be what I want to do.
Mm.
And that's when the light bulb goes off, and I'm like, I think I want to do this. And then
Yeah.
I start saying I want to do entertainment. And I'm like, I want to do TV, and I want to write, and I want to act, and I want to dance, and I want to sing. And for a long time, I thought I just wanted to do theater, which I will do theater. But
Yes.
yeah, but that was the moment.
I love that. So we got some more plans on expanding more Bevy Smith territory.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Can't stop, won't stop. No.
I love it. I call you a beacon all the time because I believe so much in getting a chance to explore oneself and the talents and finding the things that are enjoyable and create joy for us. So what is creating joy for Bevy Smith right now?
Well, creating joy for me right now is like once I get done with you, I'm done for the night. And that's
Come on,
very
rest.
thrilling.
Come on, rest.
Yes, that's thrilling to me. I've already had champagne today, so I probably won't have any more. I'll probably have some water, hydrate. Um, I have my makeup getting done tomorrow, so I will scrub all this off. I'll be honest. If I wasn't getting my makeup done tomorrow, I might have slept like because I have really good skin, knock
Come
wood,
on. Come
and
on.
and so she doesn't break out and things like that. But I'm going to do a really great facial, and I'm going to take a nice evening soak, and I'm going to paint in my little notebook with my little Crayola watercolor paints.
I love it.
And I'm going to do a little sleep meditation. I'm going to get a good night's rest, and I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning. I'm going to tackle some more
Do it all over
amazing
again.
press opportunities and work on a new project that I'm developing right now, which is going to be in bed with Bevelations, where I'm going to lay up in the bed and talk to y'all.
See, you gotta come on, Queen. Meet yourself where you at.
Yes.
Thank you for
No,
real.
I love you. I'm really impressed by you, and but I know it's not easy. I know it's a lot of moving parts, and it's you're just putting it together, and we don't know how long it's going to take for it to all gel for you
Right.
to actually make all the coins. Because you will make all the coins, but we don't know how long it's going to take for you to make all the coins. No, you're going to make all the coins. That's done, Angel. That's already done. But it took me 7 years from Rolling Stone to fucking Fashion Queens.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so
Yeah.
if what I don't want is for you to get bogged down in the idea of it's taking too long. It's going to take as long as it takes.
Yeah. That I'm not concerned with.
Okay, you're planting the seeds.
Mm-hmm.
You're tending your garden.
Amen.
You've only been a year outside of Essence, right?
Yeah. 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 year in March.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So yeah. So barely.
Barely.
Yeah. Okay.
In
You've done a
a
lot.
pandemic.
Right. Exactly. And you've done a lot. You've done a
Yeah.
lot. You've done
Yeah.
great things. But it may take longer for you to actually, and I don't know for sure. You might actually be making the money that you made at Essence. I don't know. But if you're not,
I'm actually making more.
well, praise God.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's another really important thing too. See,
Yeah.
that's the other part of it too. And that's a really, I'm so glad you said that on this, and please keep this in the interview. Oftentimes when we're not making that much money to begin with, that's the perfect time to go and strike out on our own. I left at a very high, a very, very comfortable 6-figure salary.
Right. Right.
Um, and most people don't walk away from that. But I'll tell you this: if these folks are barely paying you what you know you are truly worth, then it's probably okay for you to step out and go on your own and try and just figure it out. Especially if you have a pedigree like you had. Like you had
Yeah.
already so many good relationships, and you also had so much tape on yourself and showing who you were. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, so I'm not surprised you're making more. But I would say that to the people that are listening, watching, they definitely think about it. Like my daddy told me when I went to work at Rolling Stone, and they paid me $100,000 more than I made at Vibe, and I was making good money at Vibe. My daddy was like, "Oh, that's impressive, but think about how much they must be making off of you if they can pay you that much." So,
Ain't that a point?
I said, "Oh,
Ain't that a point?
Smitty done nailed it."
Think
Okay,
about how much they're making off of you.
yes, and so you know how much those folks were making off of you.
Yeah.
Oh, and now you're making it for yourself. So I'm proud of you,
Amen.
Kalana Barfeld. She on the
Yes.
Cherini.
Yes.
I'm proud of Claire.
Yeah.
I'm proud of so many of you young women that stepped away from places at that just it wasn't working,
Right.
and you were like, yeah, I think I can probably do better on as a solo artist. Good for
Right.
you.
Right.
And I hope that you guys can inspire more people to do that. But I will say, everyone that I just named stayed long enough to build up a personal brand within a bigger brand, and
Exactly.
then they were able to get out. And that's some of the stuff I talk about in my book. It's a
Right.
brand new chapter and the Red Soul Proposition chapter. So, there's lots of
Got a
helpful
book.
and real valuable tips in the book. It's a self help book. It's part memoir, but it's really a self help book.
It's sincerely a God in light. I'm excited for you for giving us this because you didn't have to do this, but this is the kind of person that you are. And I honestly hope that people look at it like this too, because it's a blueprint to really put your roots down for yourself in so many ways, professionally and personally.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, Bevy, for that and for everything that you continue to do. Not only for all the lambs, but like for me personally too. Like for real.
You're
I
welcome,
love you so
baby.
much.
I love you too, and I'm proud of you always.
Real quick with that. Real with that.